So who'd have thunk that these fenders that I've been claiming ready for paint needed so much work? Well, turns out the passenger in particular needed a lot. It has a lot of holes in it, all of which had been welded up, and I used the oxyacetylene torch when I did it. But there are little imperfections and impurities in that metal when you weld it back up that way. And when you go to grind it and planish it perfectly flat, you'll find some little tiny holes. So I decided to grab the TIG welder and try to fix that up a little bit, get it a little closer to perfect. So just using a combination of all tools you guys know, the hammer and the dolly to flatten this stuff out, a couple of different 3M pads to sort of polish the steel up. And at the end of the day, after another 2 hours of mucking around with this fender, it looks pretty good. It's still going to need a little tiny schmutz. Again, probably the best way to do this stuff, if you're filling holes, you need to put a backing plate on there, and really you're better off cutting a circle with a known size, say a 1/2 inch, and then going back and putting new steel in there so that you're just dealing with a little circle of weld. If you really want to, it takes more time to drill the hole out and to make the patch, but it probably takes less time to finish it. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. Otherwise, you're going to end up spending all the time fettling like I've been doing. And again, this thing looks great at this point. There's a little left, and I'm going to schmutz it, but we're in good shape. So we painted this tub about 3 weeks ago. We painted it sitting on the end so that the rear panel needed to be painted. And we cleaned and painted, and there were 4 of us working on it, and we got it really clean and ready to paint and put it all the way through to OD on the interior and on the bottom. Now, the bottom looked fantastic. The interior, I knew I was going to get another pass at it, so that's what's going on here. And I come back and grab my sandpaper. There are places where the coverage wasn't very good. They're just little areas like these little corners where it wasn't cleaned well enough, to be totally honest with you. Even though we wiped it down and tried to be super clean, there are places that it just doesn't look good. There are places where I put the paint on not thick enough, so it ends up feeling almost like sandpaper. And again, no reason to leave it at this point. It's just another few hours of work to clean all this stuff up. So I'm running over it with 220 sandpaper, or 320 in some cases, or the 3M pads, which are roughly the same. You see me using screwdrivers, you see me using, the various tools, that little sanding tool, just where places where, for example, there was original paint that had not been taken all the way down, and, it ends up looking like a little island because you sanded next to it, but not fully there. So this is the kind of stuff that really does catch your eye. It's incredibly detail oriented, so you kind of have to be of the mindset that you want to do it, but it really makes a big difference when you start looking into the corners. We go through and scrape all the corners with a small screwdriver. There's paint in those things. Some of it's original primer, sometimes it's later paint. You just got to go through it and run over the whole thing. And the goal here, again, this is all in primer at this point. There are a few places I'm sanding down through the primer into the metal, and I'll come back and touch that up with a little primer because it has etcher in it. But the goal here is to get this thing all cleaned, wipe it down, look at it really closely and make sure I'm really happy with it, and then come back and paint it once and finally, and the interior will be finished. Regular viewers know that I'm kind of against the schmear of Bondo or what have you to fix your bodywork, but in this case you see me using something called glazing compound. It's just very, very thin Bondo. It sets in about 5-10 minutes. And it's really used for minor surface imperfections. And where I am putting it here is in a couple spots where there were very deep pits on the original metal. The metal was still strong, but it had some deep rust pitting. And rather than just leave that, because I thought every time I get in this Jeep, I'm going to look at the floor and say, man, why didn't those guys fix that? it's just a little bit of rust. You could have fixed it easily enough. I went ahead and put the old schmear here. And just to be clear on why, number one, I like doing the body work and trying to make it as perfect as I can, even though I rarely get it perfect. So there's a sort of workmanship, craftsmanship thing going on one side. The other thing is, whenever you have dissimilar metals or materials, and in this case metal and a polyester kind of epoxy binding, you're going to get different rates of expansion and contraction, and you're ultimately going to have a failure of the glue point and joint at some point in time. So lead's a better solution because it won't fail. It's close enough that it's not going to move. And so if you really got to do something like fill something in, I'd prefer to use the lead or non-lead before I start using this stuff. But for what we're doing here, which is just a tiny little imperfection, it should be just fine. So it's really hard to finish a World War II Jeep tub and then install it and not end up messing up your paint job. So again, you saw us paint this thing sitting on the rear tailgate and then get the bottom really finished well and get the interior largely finished. But my goal and my plan always was, let's put this tub on and we'll do some cleanup on the interior and on the exterior of the tub and shoot it again before we do the final assembly, and then we'll still probably touch it up. And remember, on the factory they dipped these tubs and then they mounted them, and at the end they came back and did a lot of finish work there. So I'll do a little hammer and dolly work back in the rear corner, and there's some small pinholes, not all the way through, but just occlusions in the welding, kind of like the Fender we were talking about earlier. So I grabbed this glazing compound, which again is an ideal application for it, and I'm just clearing up a little bit of imperfections. We're going to sand 98% of this back off, so it hopefully will be a good long-lasting repair. The metal is 100% clean underneath it, and we'll prime it and then paint it. But I will give you a quick tour of this, and you'll see just how much we leave on here, which is going to be not very much. It's going to be a few little white spots where there were imperfections that we filled in. I did a little bit back here. There was a few little spots in there. So it's just a super fine coat, really just like sandable primer. And that'll make it look a little bit better back there. It looks pretty good anyway, but maybe a little bit more work right there. You see it's a little low, but it's pretty good overall. And then this thing didn't get filled before. It's got really heavy pits in it, so I just put a little schmear on there. I'm gonna mix some more up tomorrow and clean that up. It's really quite ugly in there, and even though the jerry can goes over the top of it, I don't think I want to look at that thing, to be honest with you. So this side looks really pretty good. I just hit the sand. You see there's a few high spots and what have you, but it's really pretty good on this side. So I'm going to probably leave it the way it is. It won't be perfect, but it'll look pretty good. Those, you know, there are little things like this that are a little annoying to me. If you're a long-time subscriber, you've heard me say before, we're 90% done and 90% left to go. That's an old aviation saying. People who build airplanes, seems like you never get done. So as always, I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome to all the new subscribers. And as I like to say, you guys keep those corners square. We will see you again next week. Thanks.